Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So, it looks like Christine Brown-Woolley is facing some unexpected emotional turbulence right now. According to recent clips, several of her kids are packing up and moving across the country, to North Carolina, leaving Christine struggling with feelings of loneliness and self-doubt. In the newest footage, Christine opens up about how both Dawn and Kody have relocated to North Carolina, choosing to settle near Janelle. She admits this shift makes her feel like a bad mom. And honestly, fans are divided. If you visit the Sister Wives subreddit, you'll see a growing wave of posts criticizing Christine's behavior. Many longtime supporters say they're no longer on the bandwagon, calling her attitude insufferable or hard to watch. Some didn't like how she reacted when Kody moved out. Others think her response to the kids moving east felt overly dramatic or self-centered. Now, whether this is a shift in Christine's personality or simply the ripple effects of a family that's drifting further apart, it's clear something deeper is going on. Maybe it's marriage changes, maybe emotional fatigue, or maybe just the grief that's been hovering over the family since Garrison's death, a loss that continues to weigh heavily on all of them. For the older kids, like Kody and Aspen, that grief is layered with years of emotional responsibility. They've spoken about feeling like they weren't just daughters but caretakers, not only to their younger siblings but to Christine herself. They often became her emotional anchor, her shoulder to lean on, reversing the natural parent-child dynamic. That kind of parentification, especially in polygamous families, can be exhausting and confusing. Christine, on the other hand, has always believed she was the favorite mom, the one with fewer rules, the fun, nurturing parent who stayed home while Janelle worked. For years, the kids naturally gravitated toward her warmth. But now, as two of her children choose to live near Janelle, that long-held identity seems to be cracking. If we look back, Christine's choices haven't always aligned with her children's needs, and that's okay. Parenting adult kids is complex. When she decided to move from Las Vegas to Flagstaff, she left behind Aspen and Mitch, even though Mitch had just moved there to bond with the family. Dawn lived separately in St. George, and Kody left home early, only reconnecting after Christine's split from Kody, a relationship that later grew tense again. Now, Christine seems to be projecting her feelings onto Janelle, and that's shaking her emotional foundation. The woman who once defined herself as the heart of the Brown family suddenly finds herself questioning her place. In one particularly revealing moment, Dawn even hints at joining the National Guard in North Carolina, echoing Garrison's own path before his death. The bond between Dawn and Garrison was incredibly strong. They enlisted together and shared a brotherhood that went beyond the show. So, Dawn's decision to move east might be more than a family choice. It might be his way of honoring that connection, seeking healing in the same state where Garrison's plans had just come full circle before tragedy struck. When you look at the full history of this family, Dawn's decision actually makes a lot of sense. He was the only boy among Christine's 6 children with Kody, which already gave him a unique role in the family. But because Janelle's household also had several sons, including Garrison, who was born just 6 months after Dawn, the two boys practically grew up as brothers. They were inseparable. Anyone who's ever listened to either of them speak, whether it was in old interviews, family clips, or social media posts, knows how deep that bond ran. They weren't just close, they were best friends. They did everything together, from childhood adventures to joining the military side by side. For Dawn, Garrison wasn't simply a sibling figure, he was a lifelong companion. That's why, after the family split, it wasn't unusual to see Dawn spending holidays not with Christine, but at Janelle's house. It wasn't out of defiance, it was familiarity. It was comfort. That's where his memories of brotherhood, laughter, and belonging lived. In many ways, Janelle's home felt just as much like his home as Christine's. Dawn has been very open about this dynamic. Despite his reputation for being outspoken, he's always been clear, Janelle is as much a mom to him as Christine. He said it time and again, he grew up in both households equally because he was always around Garrison and Gabe. That house full of brothers gave him a sense of safety and identity that Christine's more rule-free household didn't always provide. So when you think about it, his move to North Carolina, closer to Janelle and Maddie, isn't shocking at all. It's emotional gravity pulling him back toward the place where he feels grounded, where he can heal. But things get complicated when you look at Christine's side of the story. Paydon has openly admitted in past TikToks that he's never really accepted David Woolley, Christine's husband, as a stepfather. He said so directly, and while we don't know where that relationship stands today, it's clear there's lingering tension. Christine and David's relationship moved incredibly fast: engagement, marriage, blending families, all in what felt like the blink of an eye. And while many fans celebrated her finding happiness, some of her kids struggled to keep up. After years of emotional chaos, they suddenly had to adjust to a completely new family structure, and David himself has 8 kids of his own. For Christine's children, who had already endured years of instability, that kind of change might have been overwhelming. Janelle, on the other hand, represents stability. She doesn't have a new partner or new family members entering the picture. Her home is quiet, consistent, a familiar safe haven. For Paydon, moving closer to Janelle and Maddie, who he adores, feels like reclaiming a piece of that lost normalcy. Maddie's kids are a source of joy for him. Caleb, Maddie's husband, is steady and kind. After losing Garrison, it's no wonder he wants to be near them, near the people and the memories that connect him to what he lost. In his own words, Paydon once said, "She lost a son, and I lost a best friend. I just want to be near her, near Maddie, near the kids. I'm trying to find something that isn't here anymore." That one line says it all. His move isn't about distance from Christine, it's about finding healing where his heart still feels connected. And yet, what's hard for many fans to understand is Christine's reaction. She knows how close Paydon was to Garrison, how deeply he loves Janelle and Maddie. She knows he's grieving in his own way. So why, then, is her first instinct to feel like a bad mom? Why is she interpreting her kids' decisions as a rejection, as if they're choosing Janelle over her? It's not a competition. But maybe, for Christine, it feels like one, a symbolic echo of her years in plural marriage, where affection and loyalty always seemed divided. It's strange when you really think about it. Christine has spent years publicly saying she's living her best life, and by all appearances, that's true. She's got her stunning home in Utah, her successful vacation rentals, and a happy marriage with David Woolley. On paper, she seems fulfilled, content, and finally free from the emotional chaos of her past. So it feels a little odd to see her so affected, almost jealous, that her adult children are choosing to live near Janelle instead of her. After all, it's not as if Paydon or the others were living next door to Christine before. Paydon had built his life elsewhere, between St. George and Lehigh. None of the Brown kids ever truly had a single home base. They grew up constantly relocating, chasing stability that never quite came. And now, when emotional upheaval hits, as it so often does in this family, they react in the only way they've been conditioned to: they move. They distance themselves from pain. So maybe Paydon's move isn't rejection at all. Maybe it's just what he's learned, that sometimes healing means changing your surroundings. Even Christine once said, "The best part of plural marriage was watching my kids form bonds with their other moms." And she meant it. She always wanted her children to have deep, meaningful relationships with all the women who raised them. So when she admits, through tears, "Sometimes I feel like a bad mom because they're not choosing to live next to me. Sometimes I think Janelle's a better mom because they're choosing to live near her," you can feel how conflicted she really is. What's ironic, though, is that this exact situation has happened before, just in reverse. When Janelle's sons were closer to Christine, spending holidays and family events at her home, Janelle never took it personally. She didn't feel like she was being replaced or outshined. In fact, she encouraged it. She openly said she was grateful that her kids had such a close, loving relationship with Christine. There were even times when Garrison and Gabriel talked about wanting to spend Thanksgiving with Christine, saying they'd go wherever she went. Christine loved that her home was a warm, safe space for them, and Janelle thought that was sweet. There was no jealousy, no competition. Just mutual respect and understanding between two mothers who loved the same children. But now, when the roles are reversed, it feels different. Christine says she's happy her kids love Janelle, yet still admits it makes her feel inadequate, like she's losing something. It's a bittersweet moment that shows how deeply rooted the emotional scars of plural marriage really are. In the clip, this tension comes immediately after one of the most heartfelt confessions we've seen from Paydon. He says, "I've lost a best friend, and Janelle has lost a son. I just want to be close to her, close to Maddie and the kids, because I'm trying to find something that's no longer here." It's raw and vulnerable. But instead of matching his emotion with empathy, the next scene cuts to Christine expressing sadness that her children aren't choosing her. If that's just creative editing, then shame on the producers. But if that's truly how she feels, it reveals something deeper, a sense of rivalry that never fully disappeared even after she left plural marriage. And in the same episode, Christine reportedly says that Janelle should stop bragging about having the grandkids near her, as if proximity equals victory. As though motherhood is still a competition she has to win. The truth is, we've never really seen Janelle compete with Christine. She's never tried to one-up her, or claim emotional territory over the kids. But Christine? She's always had a competitive streak, not just with Janelle, but with all the sister wives. And so did Mary, each of them quietly fighting for validation, for attention, for the sense of being chosen. Maybe that's what we're really seeing resurface here, the remnants of old jealousy that polygamy left behind. Even after the marriage is dissolved, the emotional patterns stayed. The instinct to compare, to measure love, to fear being left out, it's still there, haunting the next chapter of their lives. So when Christine watches her children move closer to Janelle, it's not about location. It's about identity. For so long, she defined herself as the nurturing, central mother figure, the heart of the family. But now, as her grown children make their own choices, she's realizing something painful yet inevitable. Sometimes, letting them go is the truest form of love. You know, maybe this whole situation comes down to something simpler, the fact that, for the first time, there's no one else left for Christine and Janelle to direct their emotions toward. There's no more daily conflict with Kody. Mary's no longer in the picture. The chaos has quieted, and sometimes when the noise fades, the unresolved feelings finally surface. And maybe that's what's happening here. Christine's finding herself with a new emotional focus. Not anger at Kody, not rivalry with Mary, but jealousy toward Janelle. The timing, though, couldn't be worse. The family is still deep in grief after Garrison's death, emotions are fragile, and everyone's trying to hold it together. This isn't the moment for competition or resentment, but grief doesn't always make sense. It clouds everything. Still, fans aren't taking this lightly. The reaction online has been intense. On Reddit, the sister wives community that once adored Christine is now split down the middle. Many viewers say they're disappointed in her recent attitude, calling her behavior self-centered, tone-deaf, and even insufferable. Some argue that she's putting unnecessary emotional pressure on her kids, guilt-tripping them for wanting to live near Janelle, while publicly flaunting her new, picture-perfect life with David. Others say they're simply confused, asking, "Christine, what happened? You got your happy ending, so why does it still seem like you're competing?" And maybe that's the real story here, that you can build a beautiful new life, you can move on, you can say you're happy, but if you're still carrying resentment, comparison, and jealousy deep down, your actions will always reveal it. Fans are beginning to question how stable Christine and Janelle's friendship really is. Sure, they've stood side by side through heartbreak, faith shifts, and family fractures, but as T recently shared on her Patreon, if they weren't once sister wives, they probably wouldn't even be friends. Their personalities, values, and lifestyles are so different that their connection has always depended on shared history, not shared perspective. And now, that bond might be cracking under the weight of grief. Janelle is mourning a devastating loss, and Christine, intentionally or not, seems to be making it about herself. That's how tragedy divides families. Grief can twist emotions, distort empathy, and reignite old wounds that were never fully healed. Maybe Christine's not jealous of Janelle, maybe she's lost, trying to find her place in a family that's changing faster than she can accept. But whatever the reason, this moment feels like a turning point, not just for Christine and Janelle, but for the entire Brown family dynamic. So what do you think? Is Christine's reaction understandable, or has she let jealousy cloud her growth? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear where you stand on this. And if you're still following the emotional roller coaster of Sister Wives Season 20, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because this story isn't over yet. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, bestie. Yellow heart.